Tonight on Cronkite News, President Biden announces he will visit Arizona next week ahead of the November 5th general elections.
Plus, a closer look at how black leaders are fighting for equal voting access at the ballot box.
And we take a look ahead at Arizona State's volleyball's matchup against Houston. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm DeAndre Sanders.
And I'm Anna McClure. Thank you for joining us.
We are now just 20 days from the general election, and with Arizona as a key swing state for both candidates, we learned today that President Joe Biden is set to visit Arizona next week. According to a statement from the White House, Biden will host an official event during his visit. Biden's visit follows the recent visits of both Vice President Harris and former President Trump, who held campaign events last week.
But before Biden makes his arrival to Arizona, former President Obama will make an appearance this Friday. The Harris campaign announced Obama will be speaking in Tucson in support for the campaign.
And the polls show the race for president is going to be tight here in Arizona, with one showing Trump has a narrow lead over Harris. The poll conducted by the New York Times and Siena College surveyed likely Arizona voters, with 46% saying they will vote for Harris and 51% saying Trump, while 3% are still unsure or refuse to comment. The poll was conducted between October 7th and October 10th.
One important voting bloc this year, members of the African American community. In this story from Fractured, a project by Carnegie Knight, News 21 looks at how black leaders are fighting for equal voting access and making sure their vote counts.
The Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, they're all under attack, and we want to make sure that everyone has equal access to the ballot and that vote count. Each time the state legislature meets, they do something to take away that basic fundamental right to vote, making it more difficult, making it more challenging for you to vote. And that also goes over into redistricting.
Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Thank y'all so much for having us. We are the plaintiffs from the Allen versus Milligan lawsuit because of the stance that we all took together. We have a second opportunity district here in the state of Alabama.
The Supreme Court basic ruling in the Allen versus Milligan case, we consider that a major win because that gives black voters an opportunity to elect a person of their choice to send to Congress.
This may be the only time that we're able to elect someone that looks like us, that care about our needs.
We're still seeing bits and pieces of the Voting Rights Act being carved away.
The gutting of the Voters' Rights Act. That was the worst thing. We had more rights in the 60s than we have now. When they gutted Section 4 and 5, it hurt us way better than what they thought.
It was the first fire shot in the war against democracy, that Shelby Holder decision, because everything started to happen after that decision, everything. When it came to attacking democracy from the ballot box, attacking democracy from just every basic right that was already established. It's something that I personally have been a part of since it started. I was a litigant in that case. I've been a part of it and always will be, because I'm always going to try to stand for what's right.
Good morning, Shelby County. Good morning. Good morning, Shelby County. Good morning. I know it's hot out there. It is. I know you're tired. I know you're sweaty. But I appreciate you being here today to show your support for this important event.
People need to understand that, in particular, African Americans have not always had the right to vote because of, poll taxes, literacy tests. Those things prevented particular African Americans from being able to vote.
Enough is enough, because it's past time that our Congress do something about the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which the Supreme Court gutted 11 years ago.
If you look at what our state legislature is doing each year, it's on a downward trend between the redistricting and bills like SB 1 to further disenfranchise, to further erode the voting rights of people in the state, in particular people of color.
It's those types of actions and bills that are being placed, and they're going to soon see it's not going to only hurt people of color, it's going to hurt them too.
Democracy is not broken. It's not broken. It's a well-oiled machine. I think the problem with it is you have a group or certain people that wants to dictate and say, well, you are wrong, and this is how it's supposed to be, and we're going to make you do it the way we want you to do it. It's everybody having that equal right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everybody.
So I say to you today, fired up, fired up, fired up, ready to vote.
News 21's reporting project Fractured goes beyond horse race election coverage to examine some of the deeper issues facing Americans during this election. You can see all of our reporting on our website at fractured.news21.com.
Coming up next, pandas are back in the National Zoo.
After months of diplomacy, the pandas made their way back home. Find out why the U.S. was unclear if the pandas would return after the break.
Plus, a major cool down is finally heading our way. Your full forecast is coming up next.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X at @CutASU.
3, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
Learn and master the English language
in a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. And speaking of welcome back, the National Zoo's last 3 giant pandas returned back to Washington, D.C.
After going to China last fall, it was unclear if any of the pandas would return. Macy Markham in Washington took a trip to the zoo to visit our furry friends.
Tensions between the U.S. and China were high a year ago, and it took months of panda diplomacy to ensure their return. That paid off on Tuesday when a special FedEx flight touched down at Dulles International. Aboard, 2 furry ambassadors from China. Male Bao Li and female Qing Bao are settling in out of sight from the public until January. They are part of a breeding and research program, the U.S. paying China $1 million a year to lease the 3-year-old bears. Panda lovers say it's worth it.
It is not easy to get pandas halfway around the world. It requires a lot of folks working. It requires permits. It requires paperwork. It requires coordination with, half a dozen different security organizations. And so there was a lot of work that went up front, months and months of planning. And so I was doing a lot of that type of planning. It is really exciting when all of your planning comes to fruition and everything works so smoothly.
The pair will spend the next 30 days in quarantine, adjusting to their new home. The Smithsonian has upgraded their habitat to maximize space and security. The bears will make their debut to eager zoogoers in the new year.
I don't know about you, Anna, but it seems like the weather is finally cooling down.
I was thinking the same thing, DeAndre. Fall might be upon us. We have Sienna Monet from the Cronkite Weather Center with our forecast. What's it looking like, Sienna? Can we expect cooler weather anytime soon?
That's right. So we are on the cool down, but right now we're sitting at about 89 degrees at 7 p.m. and then we're going to dip down to 86 at 8 p.m. and then around 9 p.m. it's going to be 84 degrees. So it's going to be that ideal weather to go out with the family, to walk the dog, or just go for an evening stroll when you get home from work. And for our low temperatures, we're sitting at 69 here in Phoenix, 63 down in Tucson, and then up north there's a winter weather advisory for anyone going up north anytime soon. It's going to be in effect from Thursday night up until Saturday morning, and they're expected to see 3 to 10 inches of snow. So if you're going to be up north, make sure just to take those extra safety precautions to stay inside, keep warm, and stay off of those winter streets. And looking across the state, we are going to be seeing some showers and some scattered thunderstorms that are going to move on through in this north part of the state up in Flagstaff, like we mentioned. So just make sure that you guys are prepared if you will be going up north. And for our high temperatures here in the valley, we're going to be at 91 here in Phoenix, 89 down in Tucson, and then up in the high country, we're going to be sitting at 66 in the Grand Canyon and then 63 in Flagstaff. And we're talking about high temperatures, so this is going to be really nice seeing that fall weather come on through. And for our 8-day cast for Friday, we are seeing a 50% chance of rain with a high of 78 and a low of 69. And going on to Saturday, we're having a high of 76 and a low of 55, which is below average for this time of year. And going into the rest of your work week, we're going to see those clear sunny skies and dry conditions. So hopefully it starts to cool down soon before we get into those 90-degree weathers. I'm Sienna Monet from the Cronkite Weather Center. Back to you.
In news across the nation, Walgreens will be closing roughly 1,200 locations, which could include 500 over the next year. Just a few months ago, the drugstore announced it was shutting down 300 underperforming locations. But now the company is adding hundreds more to the list. Walgreens has not yet named the stores that will be shuttered, and it remains unclear how many in Arizona will be affected.
On a positive note, Uber and Lyft are helping people get out and vote. Lyft is offering 50% off rides to the polling station on Election Day. This is all part of its voting access program. The program's goal is to get more people to the polls. According to a study by professors at Harvard University and Boston University, people without cars are less likely to vote. Uber is also offering discounted rides. Coming up next, hockey season is back in Tempe.
Yep, the Arizona State men's hockey team made their season debut at Mullet Arena against Michigan. Find out how the team performed against the 10th-ranked Wolverines in their 2-game series after the break.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut. Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X at @CutASU.
3, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Full kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
To be able to learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Hello and welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm your host, Kayla Marina. The ASU women's volleyball team hosts Houston tonight in a matchup featured on ESPN2. The Sun Devils come into the contest ranked 13th in the nation. Tonight's match is the volleyball team's annual cancer awareness game. Fans who attend the game are encouraged to wear pink to show their support. The Sun Devils are looking to improve to 7-0 at home this season and 6-1 in conference play. ASU Tempe campus was full of energy last Friday as the Sun Devils hosted a doubleheader. The fall break started with hockey in the afternoon, followed by football in the evening. As Stella Tai tells us, the Sun Devils shared the ice with 10th-ranked Michigan in the home opener.
Number 10 Michigan with a 4-3 comeback shootout victory. With less than a minute left on the clock, ASU tied the game and sent it to overtime, where neither team found the game-winning goal. But ASU rookie Colin Potter scored a sole goal in the shootout.
We were battling in every facet of the game. We were killing plays in the D zone. I liked our game. I thought that was the kind of effort that we're going to need to be successful in this league, because that's what it's going to be like every night.
ASU has quickly become a nationally competitive program under 9-year head coach Greg Powers after bringing his hockey team to varsity status in the 2015-16 season. This year, the Sun Devils officially joined the National Collegiate Hockey Conference and become its 9th member.
Since they've been added to the new NCHC conference, that's like the SEC football conference. It's the best teams. And so when you get invited, you're going to bring in more fans, you're going to bring in more prospects, more recruits, and so it's exciting.
In the past 2 seasons, Mullet Arena have been home to the pro team, the Arizona Coyotes, and the college team, the ASU Sun Devils. With the departure of the Coyotes, now the Sun Devils are the only hockey program here in the Valley.
I was really bummed out, I'm hoping they still come back, but we'll see how that goes. So I think we're going to come to more ASU games for sure.
The Sun Devils will go on the road in the next 3 series, returning on November 15th to host their first home NCHC games. In Tempe, Stella Tai, Cronkite News.
Desert Mountain High School alumni and Scottsdale native Matt McCarty picked up his first PGA Tour win at the Black Desert Golf Course over the weekend. McCarty earned his victory, competing in just his third PGA Tour start. The Desert Mountain alum captured the championship, defeating the rest of the players by at least 3 strokes. McCarty earned $1.35 million. This victory means McCarty will compete at the Masters Invitational and extends his tour membership until the end of the 2026 season.
To do it like this, I mean, I don't know how you can kind of expect this, to be honest, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of fun, and I've been, working really hard, and this year was great for me out there, and to get out here a little early was just to get some experience was great, and obviously this now, I mean, it's just been a crazy last few months for me. It's been a lot of fun.
ASU football is back on the road this week after a huge win at home over Utah last Friday, pushing ASU's record to 5-1 on the season. The Sun Devils are heading to Cincinnati to face the Bearcats bright and early on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Arizona time. After enjoying some home cooking the last 2 games at Mountain America Stadium, the Sun Devils are heading back east, and with that, a 3-hour time zone difference. That is one of the challenges Arizona State knew heading into a new conference. 11 of the 16 teams in the Big 12 are in a different region. Coach Kenny Dillingham isn't going to let the nearly 1,600-mile trip from Tempe to Cincinnati interfere with his team's momentum.
We're bumping everything up an hour all week. So Tuesday, everything's going to be an hour earlier. Our meetings, Wednesday, everything's an hour earlier. We're getting out there on Thursday to try to, and then when we get there on Thursday, everything's an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes earlier. So we're trying to get their clock changed.
Senior Jeff Sims is expected to start in place of Sam Levitt. Sims transferred into this year from Nebraska after starting his college career at Georgia Tech. Sims found the end zone last week with a 2-yard run while Levitt was injured. Coach Kenny Dillingham has very high expectations for his new quarterback.
Awesome. We brought him in to compete to start. I think Sam's a really good player, and Sam beat him out, but it was close. Jeff had a good camp, and now Jeff, who started a crap ton of games, gets to go start again. To me, there's not much drama. There's not much starting a different guy. One of the 22 people are different. One of the 48 guys that we're playing consistently are different. Go play football game.
A win this Saturday could potentially push ASU into the AP's top 25. That's all from the Cronkite Sports Report. Now back to DeAndre and Anna at the desk.
ASU's playing very well this year, I must say. Coming up next, Game of Thrones fans and collectors gathered at an auction last week,
where a lucky fan bought a piece of TV history. Find out how much the memorabilia sold for after the break.
3, 2, 1.
Coming up on the cut.
Coming up on the cut. Coming up on the cut.
How students can build their broadcast journalism portfolio with opportunities to learn more about on-air reporting and studio production.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @thecut_network and on X at @CutASU.
3, 2, 1. Cronkite News. Get real professional experience in areas such as reporting, broadcast editing, and behind-the-scenes production, such as technical director and audio.
Kill the mics.
Or go out in the field and cover important local stories.
To learn and master the English language.
In a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Cronkite News. The future starts now.
Now, Anna, I just have to know, are you a fan of Game of Thrones?
I actually am, DeAndre.
Whoa, more than 900 pieces of Game of Thrones memorabilia were sold during an auction.
The pieces sold for more than $21 million. The most sought-after piece of memorabilia, the iconic dragon-forged Iron Throne. The throne sold for nearly $1.5 million. Other items included several outfits worn during the series and a sword used by Jon Snow.
Now that is what I call a super fan.
I know.
That is it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm DeAndre Sanders.
And I'm Anna McClure. Thank you for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.